Hey everyone, it's Dr. Scott. This video is about the week 6 readings in Rhetoric 6620. I want to provide you all a little bit of context to the stuff that you're reading this week and kind of justify why we're reading some of the things that we're reading. Portfolios are one of the assessment practices in our discipline that everyone kind of accepts. Like, that makes sense. Like, doing portfolios makes good sense. Portfolios were one of the many responses to standardized testing and teachers wanting to have some kind of control in the assessment process. And so what is more valid to assess student writing than a collection of student writing that students have some kind of control in putting together? So portfolios have been around a long time. So I'm having you all read some texts that are kind of old because they explain the different theoretical, ethical considerations when putting together a portfolio assessment. And they also walk you through some of the logistics. So I'll kind of take you through the things that I think you should, in the order I think that you should read in when we're thinking about portfolios. I also have a couple of readings about reflections, and I did that because oftentimes reflections are kind of a preamble to a portfolio, or they're kind of the culminating piece of a portfolio. So I want us to think a little bit about assigning portfolios as a way to assess student writing and student learning. So in the readings about portfolios, I recommend that you begin with White and Write because, one, you're kind of familiar with their voice already and you're kind of familiar with what it is they're talking about. There are sections in there like different uses for portfolios, and I recommend that you read at least one of those in depth. But they have a lot of useful advice about setting up portfolios and why you would go about using portfolios. So I would begin there. I would then go to Mary Perry's Producing Purposeful Portfolios. It's a pretty short piece, but she does a decent job of kind of like explaining, the different decisions that a teacher would make as they're putting together a portfolio assessment. And it's kind of like a teacher narrative. Again, it's brief. I think it's a pretty quick read. Liz Hamplyon's and William Condon's Questioning Assumptions About Portfolio-Based Assessment. This is a pretty important piece in writing studies when it comes to portfolios. So I'm having you all read that. The beginning section talks about developing a portfolio assessment, and then they go on to then talk through some of the different assumptions that folks have about portfolios. So kind of rounding out there some, questions about portfolios in the Hamplyon's and Condon piece, how to set them up and how to logistically do them. So I think that I'm giving you something that gives you kind of a rounded understanding of portfolios. When it comes to student reflections, I think that they're important to kind of think about. If you just kind of assign a reflection, there's a whole bunch of problems with that. Like, how do you evaluate that? Are students BSing you, kind of telling you what they think you want to hear in the reflection? That's a real concern. So I'm having you read Sandra Murphy's Reflection in Portfolios and Beyond. Also a short piece. It's general, but I think it does provide a helpful introduction to the different considerations that we should think about when we're putting together a student reflection. And then, so all of those pieces up till now, like, those are not research scholarship in our discipline. The last thing that I want to talk about is the essay that's about, it's entitled The Effects of Student Fashioning and Teacher Pleasing in the Assessment of First-Year Writing Reflective Essays. So that BS thing, like students trying to BS you, like, this is an article that tries to get at that and try to understand how that's working in reflective essays. And it's I want to say it's a survey project, and they also analyze writing in there. It's been a minute since I've read it. But it's research, capital R research. So they're going out there and they're kind of learning from students and student writers, like, how are they going about this active reflective writing. They've also got a good, if reflection and reflective writing is something you're thinking about for your final project, they have, I think, a literature review that could be pretty useful to you that you might want to take a look at. So I'm having you all read some oldies, but I would argue that they're goodies. And I'm having you read one novel research, like something that's been done recently around reflective writing. And there's more recent things that are about portfolios, but it's about like, how did this portfolio assessment work in this context or in this other context or with this student population? So I wanted to give you all something kind of like a little bit more general. So if you wanted to make an argument for putting together some kind of portfolio assessment at the school that you work at, or the next semester that you're teaching a college level writing class, you could go to, a supervisor, superintendent, a principal, and say, this is how I want to do CCP or dual enrollment. This is how I want to assess student writing in the dual enrollment class that I'm teaching. And here's kind of like the theoretical background and the scholarship that would support that decision. So that's what's going on in week 6. If you want to chat with me about the readings, about your final project, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. Be happy to set up a time to chat with you. But that's it for now. Hope you all are doing well, and take care.